Welcome to KrassenCast News Now. I don't really know where to start because of what I witnessed last night is just so stunning, and I'm still in disbelief. But we want to briefly touch on all of the news surrounding the tragic death of Tyre Nichols. As you're aware, Nichols was beaten by five Memphis police officers. Uh, it was took place on January 7th, and he died of injuries about 3 days later. All five officers have been charged as of a couple of days ago with second degree murder. I believe it's rightfully so. You know, if you see the body cam surveillance video, he was obviously beaten. It was just released to the public. I think it was just one of the most disgusting things you'll ever see.
Yeah. And after the release last night, there have been protests in New York City, Washington, D.C., and many other cities across the nation. Up until this point, uh, there have been these protests have been mostly nonviolent in nature, minor damage to, I know, a police car in New York City. But let's keep it this way. There's no need for violence or destruction. It's difficult to give a fair opinion, especially being white males here. But we will try and make a few statements. I think police brutality is a massive problem in this nation. It's a systemic problem within law enforcement. Even though this was a black on black crime, that doesn't mean racism wasn't involved here. Also, I made a tweet last night saying that most police officers are good people. I stand by this comment. And I know that some people are going to attack me for this, but lumping all police into a single category based off of the actions of a few is no better than doing the same thing based on race, ethnicity, or religion. It's discrimination. You can't have that mindset. This statement is not at all to discount systemic racism in this country, both in local police departments as well as society in general. The actions of these officers are not going to just impact the family of Tyre, who are dealing with, I can't even imagine the pain, but it continues to drive a wedge between police and the African American communities. I think we need legislation not to defund the police, but to better fund the police, better train the police, and better connect police with the local communities that they protect and serve.
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head there, Brian. If you watch the video, I think there's at least like 30 minutes of surveillance video, both from the camera that was, I don't know, it was stationed on a light post, or the officers' body cams. You can obviously see that what took place was wrong. And there were I believe it was five black police officers who were charged, Tadarius Bean, Demetrius Haley, Emmett Martin III, Desmond Mills Jr., and Justin Smith. They were all terminated as well. There were white officers on hand. We don't know all the details about how involved they were. From looking at the video, it looked like it was a white officer who was tasing Tyre right when they pulled him out of the car. So you see the video, and he's in his car. They do a traffic stop. I'm not exactly sure what the traffic stop was for. I think it was reckless driving, but I don't know the details. And they pull him out of the car, and at that moment, he's surprised by how physical they're being with him. And they tell him to get down on the ground. And I think several officers are yelling different things at him. He finally gets down on the ground. He wasn't resisting. It didn't appear as though he's resisting. They tell him to lay down on the ground. He lays down on the ground. They tell him to get on his stomach, and it took him a while. He didn't get on his stomach right away. I think it was because different officers were yelling different things, and he was just surprised. Like, what the hell is going on here? Like, why is this happening to me? Maybe I was driving wrong. I don't know, but why are they pulling me out and slamming me on the ground? And it took him a while to turn around. And by a while, I mean probably like maybe 7 or 8 seconds for him to get on his belly when he was already on the ground. And the officers slam him down and start tasing him immediately. And I think that's what I think he was in this situation where he felt like he was getting attacked and he didn't know how much farther it was going to get. So he tried escaping the tase. He tried getting away and he started running. And I think they started trying to tase him as he was running and he just started running faster. And I think he got in a situation where he was like, I don't know what to do. It's like the fight or flight instinct. I think
Right.
flight took over and he ran. And later, when the police caught up to him again, that's when the beating took place. And I believe it was many of the same officers who were involved in that. But what was disgusting, not only were they hitting him with batons, kicking him, punching him, when he was obviously defenseless, he was being held by four officers as another officer would hit him with a baton or kick him in the head. And then he's laying there motionless. I don't know if he was unconscious, but he was motionless. And they just leave him there for a little bit. And then they pick him up and drag him up against the car, sit him up, and just leave him sitting there for 20 minutes until an ambulance came. They didn't try and help him. They didn't try and make sure he was okay. They just sat there and kind of just chit-chatted about the incident with each other. So it was definitely a disgusting moment. Like you said, Brian, I think all police officers obviously aren't bad. We have many police officers who are our friends, who are decent, great people. So don't label all police officers as being in this category from what we witnessed with Tyre. It's just definitely not the case. Are there bad police officers? Absolutely. Do some police officers become police officers because they want to be able to do things like this? I'm sure there are, but at the same time, there's many good police officers as well.